My sisters and brothers, the Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John. When Judas Iscariot had left them, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and God will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little while longer. I give you a new commandment. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you also should love one another. This is how all will know that you are my disciples, is if you have love for one another." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Any of you ever see a tree flower like this? It's called by three names, actually. Two of the names come from the way it appears. It's called a fringe tree, also called an old man's beard. It's also known as an Ohio tree. I don't really know why, but it's natural to hear. A couple of years ago, to be exact, I was on my Sunday morning leisurely run up Woodland Avenue in Burlington, and all of a sudden, I smelled this gorgeous flower. A flower I hadn't smelled for 31 years. Friends of mine in Rensselaer, New York, had one blooming on their front lawn. And while I was studying, they said, "You have to smell this, knowing how much you love the smell of flowers." And oh my God, intoxicating, singular. I've never smelled anything like it. And I'm running up looking for this tree because I could smell it. I knew that scent. Looking for it when I got to the top of the hill, and there it was. And I got into the middle of it, and I'm smelling it and just getting so overwhelmed with the smell. But more importantly, what came to me were the great memories of these people that I spent 4 great years, and now 27 years more. They had 8 children. I taught 5 of them or 6 of them how to drive. I celebrated the marriage of 6 of them. 2 are still unmarried. I've baptized 26 of 32 grandchildren. The smell of this fringe tree reminds me of them and brings them present to me. A number of years ago, when I was in Atlanta, an 82-year-old woman gave me this rain stick from somewhere in the Southwest. It's filled with seeds, and she said, "When you pray with this stick, remember me." Her name was Marion Goldsberry, now Boyle. She got married at the age of 82. Just the sound of this stick brings back fantastic memories of her and makes her present for me. You've noticed that I wear a wedding band? My mother and father gave this to me on my solemn profession day in 1981. And she said, "This is your maternal grandfather's wedding ring. And it also is a sign to you and a reminder to you of the vows you took as a Franciscan: poverty, chastity, and obedience. So whenever you see it, You can remember your family and your commitment to your new family, the Franciscan Brotherhood. Memory brings people present. It reminds us of the love that we've shared with these wonderful people. I think the question for us tonight, after hearing this gospel, is how do we go about making Christ present to us? Well, one way certainly is to get a lot of pictures of Christ and paste them all over your living space so that you can see him all the time. Another way might be to wear a cross around your neck, or as Protestant chaplain Joel Harder said, as you Catholics do, you wear the cross with the little man on it, the crucifix. We could wear that, or we could follow the advice of Jesus in the gospel, and that is love one another. Love, as you know in Greek, I've talked about it before, has a number of words. When he says to them, love one another as I have loved you, it's kind of new, because it did appear in the book of Leviticus in the Old Testament, love your neighbor as yourself. He says, love one another as I have loved you. Not filial love or friendship love, but agape love, sacrificial love. And if we are willing to love like that, everyone will know who we are. They'll know we know Christ, and we love Christ, and Christ will be present. This gospel is the Gospel of John, talking about the Last Supper, but we know the words from the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, where Jesus takes at the Passover, he takes the bread and says, this is my body, takes the cup, this is my blood. We do it every time we come to this space for Mass. But this here, this part of the Last Supper is Jesus' farewell address to his disciples. I kind of wonder sometimes what it could have been like for Jesus that night to give his disciples, who he spent 3 good years of his life with, who he's told them everything they needed to know, how he felt having to leave them and put all of his work in their hands. Tonight, I get to know. He said, if you would you please think about moving to Syracuse University as the Catholic chaplain? Immediately, I said, Syracuse, New York? I hate the cold. I hate the color orange. This is my home. North Carolina is my home. My sister lives here. My nephew lives here. I can't go to Syracuse University. And I prayed, and I prayed. I slept maybe 3 hours a night since February 5th. I prayed for God to give me an answer. I was asked if I would visit just to do my due diligence, and this past Monday ago, I flew up to Syracuse University. And I was there from Monday until Thursday. And I think you all know that there are no such things as coincidence in this world. The 2 students who were asked to give me a tour of the university were 2 of my former altar servers from Danbury, Connecticut, the parish I was in before I came here. One of them is a 3rd-year medical student, and the other is a sophomore. Students here said to me, but you can't go to Syracuse. You promised you would be here until I graduated. And of course, we both burst out into tears. And I said, you know, Amanda, that was my will. This is God's will. And I can't resist or say no to God, as sad as I am. I ask you, this is not my final. Share with one another, like crazy man bringing flowers into the church and sticks and dancing around and doing all kinds of crazy antics. I also ask you to love one another with great affection, the kind of love that Jesus had for his disciples, the The kind of love that Jesus expects us, his disciples, to have for one another. And everybody will know that you are disciples, that you and I knew each other. I'm not too far away, by the way. Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. You know how much I love sunflowers. Someone gave me this just yesterday and I needed to share it with you. It's advice from a sunflower. The first is, be outstanding in your field. Second, always hold your head high. Bloom, blossom, and grow. And I'll add my last bit of advice. As often as you can, I ask you, like a sunflower, to turn to the Son of God, to give you everything you need.